Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Calvin Tobin Show. I am your host, Calvin Tobin. Today we have a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. Alright, this season, all across football from college to the NFL, it has shown that this season has been completely legendary and will continue to be legendary. Now, first off, let's start off with Monday Night Football with the Colts taking on the Ravens. Now, in this game, all the way up until towards the end of the third quarter, it looked like that the Colts were going to have a strong victory over the Ravens because they were winning 22-3. Then once that fourth quarter hit, you can say hi to clutch Lamar Jackson because he guided the Baltimore Ravens from 22-3 with 2 minutes left in the third quarter all the way to a 25-25 tie at the end of regulation and getting the ball first and driving the Ravens all the way down 70 plus yards to throw it to Marquise Brown for a 5-yard touchdown victory, winning 31-25. Now here's how legendary Lamar Jackson's game was. One, he actually beat a defense with his arm instead of his legs. And he did something that no other quarterback has done. Not Tom Brady, not Patrick Mahomes, not Peyton Manning. He is the first quarterback to ever do this. And what he did was throw for 400 yards while throwing 40 plus passes and having an 85% completion rate. Absolutely ridiculous by Lamar, because you don't see that too often because he's mostly trying to kill and burn you with his legs. But if Lamar Jackson can do that throughout an entire season and get back to the playoffs and do that, we can actually look at the Baltimore Ravens as a true Super Bowl contender, because as of right now, until Lamar Jackson can do what he did last night on a consistent basis, I don't think they'll be a true Super Bowl contender because Lamar Jackson is 1-2 in the playoffs. Now, here are Lamar Jackson's statistics. He threw for 443 yards, 37 for 43, 85% completion rate, and he had a total of 504 yards. Lamar Jackson just had an unbelievable fourth quarter and overtime, to be exact, because it really wasn't showing much for what he was doing through those first three quarters because the Colts were in complete control of that game. All right. Now, let's talk about how this NFL season is truly legendary. One, let's start off with King Derrick Henry. This dude is about to, the way he is running right now and what he's on pace for, he has 640 yards right now through 5 games, which is averaging 128 yards right now. And right now, he is on pace through a 17-game season. He's on pace to get 2,176 rushing yards. And if he stays on that pace, he can be the first ever running back to rush for 2,000 yards twice in a career. No one else has done that because it's hard enough to get 2,000 itself, and only 8 players, counting Derrick Henry, have only rushed for 2,000 yards in their entire career. It's absolutely insane. Only 8 players, and Derrick Henry is about to do it twice if he keeps up this pace. He's just trucking along and just bulldozing over everybody. And a little more fun about Derrick Henry is that his favorite team to go off on is the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's faced them 4 times throughout his entire career, and he has a total of 588 yards on nearly 100 carries, 99 to be exact. Derrick Henry is special because if Derrick Henry gets 2,000 yards this season, he actually could be looked at as the greatest running back ever. I'm talking about better than Barry Sanders, better than Jim Brown, better than Walter Payton, Emmitt Smith, all those guys if he rushes for 2,000 yards twice. Now, for the rest of the stuff, why it's legendary, counting college football and the NFL, there was a total of 53, I repeat, 53 total players who got 100 yards from scrimmage, and last week it was just over 30. This season is absolutely nuts because you got all kinds of players breaking records and being on pace to have records that have never been done before. Now, here's the craziest part about this weekend. Counting college football and the NFL, we had a total of 5 players get over 200 yards for themselves. In the NFL, we had Devontae Adams get 11 catches for 206 yards, his first 200-yard game ever, which was absolutely astonishing. But you can't be too surprised because he's got Aaron Rodgers for a quarterback. The other 4 players are all in college football, and 2 of them were on the same team, because those 2 players are Kenneth Walker III and Jalen Nailor. Jalen Nailor had 221 receiving yards off 5 catches along with 3 touchdowns, and then you had Kenneth Walker have 223 rushing yards, 236 total yards along with a touchdown. Absolutely insane. And those guys were on Michigan State. And here's something that Michigan State did this weekend that only 4 other teams have done in FBS college football history. And that is have 300-yard passer, a 200-yard rusher, and a 200-yard catcher. That game was a truly legendary game, even though Michigan wiped out their opponent 31-13. Now here comes the craziest part about all of this. The best game of this year was Oklahoma versus Texas. 2 more players got into the 200-yard range. Kennedy Brooks with 217 rushing yards, and a guy who plays for Oklahoma and had the game-winning touchdown with 10 seconds left to go and ran for a 33-yard touchdown to seal the deal to win the game in the Red River Showdown, 55-48. And the wide receiver, Xavier Worthy for Texas, had a ridiculous game himself. He's also the 5th and final player who had 200 yards from scrimmage himself. He had 261 receiving yards along with a couple touchdowns himself. This weekend was absolutely crazy, and it's so hard not to talk about it all because you had so many players have ridiculous games. And also, another crazy part is Nick Saban might actually truly be on his downfall because he lost to Texas A&M on a last-second field goal, losing 41-38. But people are saying, oh, that was just one game, let it go. But here's the thing. He also almost lost to Florida, which I don't know how Florida pulled that off because they lost to Kentucky the following week, 20-13. It's crazy, but Alabama nearly losing to Florida and winning by a hair margin. But here's the thing, if that first quarter didn't count, Florida actually ends up winning that game, or even if the Gators scored one more time, safety, field goal, or touchdown, they scored even one more time in that first quarter, it's either a tie or Florida wins that game themselves. Alabama and Nick Saban might be on the first year of Nick Saban's downfall. And we will further see this for the rest of the season, because now Nick Saban ain't number one anymore, and this is a whole brand new year for a whole bunch of teams to watch, because you got Iowa and Cincinnati in the top 3, and we almost never see that at all. Alright, now with the MLB playoffs, the top team in the American League goes out in the first round in terrible fashion, because they win game 1 and then they lose 3 straight to the Boston Red Sox. And who am I talking about? That's the Tampa Bay Rays. They had the best record in the American League with 162 record, and they end up losing in the first round. Now, we've seen this kind of stuff before, but for the Rays, based on how these playoffs went, this just shows that pitching bit them very, very hard, and they need to get some all-star pitchers or improve their pitching rotation by a large margin, because last year they lost 2 outstanding pitchers with Charlie Morton and Blake Snell. And Blake Snell was a Cy Young Award winner last year. And some Rays fan might say that the Rays possibly could have won Game 6 if Kevin Cash did not take out Blake Snell after allowing that 1 hit. And he allowed like 2 or 3 hits all game, and it was like the bottom of the 8th. Like, it was crazy for him taking out Blake Snell. But that's debatable based on who you ask. But based on this, Boston moves on, and it looks like they could be the dark horse to win the World Series, since they just completely dominated the Tampa Bay Rays. And the Tampa Bay Rays have got a lot of work to do, especially on that pitching rotation, if they want to get back to the playoffs and get back to the World Series like they did in 2020. Now, last but not least, the NHL season is finally here. The 2021 and the 2022 season starts tonight, and we're going to watch 2 games. We're going to watch the 2 newest teams, the Seattle Kraken and the Vegas Golden Knights, take on each other, while we're also seeing 2 teams that have won 4 of the last 6 Stanley Cups face off in the first night of the NHL season. Now, with this season, the biggest things about tonight's game is we're going to see how Seattle is going to do in their first game, and potentially throughout the season how they're able to do with this brand new team, and it's a new franchise. And we're also going to see how much of a challenge, and if the Penguins can face their challenge with having their 2 biggest stars out, Malkin and Crosby, because that's going to be a big challenge for them, because you got them without their 2 All-Stars facing the Stanley Cup champions, and we will find out at 7:30 tonight. And for the next few years, the Tampa Bay Lightning are looking like they're going to be in great hands, because John Cooper has just signed a 3-year extension with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and it looks like he's there to stay. And who knows, maybe the Tampa Bay Lightning could three-peat or win another championship within that 3-year extension, because his contract now extends out to the 2024-2025 season. And we will see how both games will play out tonight, starting at 7:30. Alright, that's the end of the Calvin Tobin Show. Please subscribe to my channel at the Calvin Tobin Show so you don't miss out on any sports media. And please follow me on Instagram at Calvin Tobin Show so you don't miss out on any sports news whatsoever. And